video, we are going to discuss about the oxides of nitrogen and its environmental impacts. So in order to understand this area more clearly, we'll be just focusing on a question that was asked in NTA UGC in its December 2023 session, wherein they have asked us to find out the oxides of nitrogen, but we are extending that question and we'll be also focusing on the environmental impacts or the different kinds of impacts that oxides of nitrogen can cause into the environment. So I'll just show you the question, and after that we'll be exploring this area in more detail. So this was a question that was asked in December 2023 net exam, wherein they ask us to find the oxides of nitrogen. So the question goes like this: in air pollution, oxides of nitrogen include. So as you all know, this area or these oxides of nitrogen, when you consider this topic as such, this is a part of people development and environment, and under that particular we have a very important area to explore, that is the major pollutants and their impacts on environment. Okay, so this nitrogen oxides or oxides of nitrogen is basically one of the most important and significant pollutant when we consider air pollution as such. So if you consider the various options, they have given you 5 different options from which we need to identify the important or the oxides of nitrogen as such. We have various combinations provided here as well. So we'll be just exploring what I mean by these oxides of nitrogen, and also we'll be extending this question to another area wherein we'll be exploring the impacts of oxides of nitrogen in the environment as well, because this is again a very important area from which you can expect questions as well. So when you consider oxides of nitrogen, it includes nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. So please do remember that oxides of nitrogen means nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide, and when you consider the environmental impacts of oxides of nitrogen, we can say that it can cause smog, which is, when you specifically go into the details, we can call it as photochemical smog, and also it can give rise to acid rain. So these are the 2 important types of impacts that this particular oxides of nitrogen can cause in the environment as such. So it is one of the main causes of smog, also giving rise to acid rain when it is transformed into nitric acid. So when you consider the different sources from which this oxides of nitrogen comes into the atmosphere, the most important source we can identify is the motorized vehicles, and also there are certain natural sources from which this emits or this comes into the atmosphere as well. So when you consider the sources of the various pollutants, when you consider the primary pollutants as such, we have this anthropogenic sources there, and also there are certain natural sources from which these different pollutants comes or emits to the atmosphere. So in that manner, if you consider the natural sources, we have these fires and volcanoes that also emit nitrogen compounds in the atmosphere. So the main sources, of course, motorized vehicles. And as we have already explored in the beginning itself, that there are certain impacts that this nitrogen oxides can cause to the environment as such, and 2 important phenomena that we explored was one acid rain, the next one was smog. So we'll be just focusing on this acid rain and photochemical smog. These are events, or these are issues that can be caused by the oxides of nitrogen. So when you consider acid rain, it is caused due to the release of compounds like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides to the atmosphere, and these substances mix and react with water, oxygen and other chemicals to form more acidic pollutants, which are known as acid rain. So if you consider the questions or the question pattern of the questions that we can expect from this area, there are high chances they'll ask you to find out the various components that are present in the formation of acid rain, or photochemical smog is formed due to or formed by. So these kinds of questions can be identified, or these kind of questions can be expected in your exam. So when you consider acid rain, how acid rain causes, or what are the various compounds that causes acid rain, then you can consider sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide. So these are the 2 important compounds that cause acid rain, and these substances, they mix and react with water, oxygen and other chemicals in the atmosphere, and that can result in the formation of an acidic pollutant, and this causes finally the acid rain. So please do remember the compounds that are the reasons of causing acid rain, that is sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, and this will react, or this will mix and react with water, oxygen and other chemicals, and finally that will lead to acid rain. Another important environmental impact that we can consider when it comes to the oxides of nitrogen, that is photochemical smog. So what are the various pollutants, the primary pollutants that cause this photochemical smog? The photochemical smog is a mixture of pollutants that are formed when nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds, VOCs, this is again a very important primary pollutant that react to sunlight. So the most important parts of most important pollutants or the most important compounds or elements that we identify in photochemical smog are the oxides of nitrogen or nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds or VOCs, and that reacts with sunlight also. So sunlight is again a very important element or very important factor when it comes to photochemical smog, and as the sunlight is a very important constituent element of the formation of photochemical smog, it tends to occur more often in summer. So nitrogen oxides, they react with volatile organic compounds and in the presence of sunlight, so it tends to occur more or often in summer, and the most important or the most toxic constituent of photochemical smog is ozone. So please do remember that also, it's the major constituent of photochemical smog is ozone. So this photochemical smog is actually caused due to nitrogen oxides, VOCs, when they react in sunlight. As a result, there comes a product that is ozone. So ozone is the most toxicant or toxic constituent of photochemical smog. Coming back to the question that we have explored at the beginning itself, it was just a question wherein we just need to identify the oxides of nitrogen, that's it. So from the given options, we need to identify nitrogen oxides. We already know that one is nitric oxide and the next one is nitrogen dioxide. If that's the answer, that's the combination, we can go with options A and C, right? Nitric oxide is A, and then we have C, nitrogen dioxide. So A and C only is option B. So the right answer is option B itself. So in this session, we have explored the oxides of nitrogen, and also we have explored some of the environmental impacts that can be caused by the nitrogen oxides as well. So it's a very important area from which you can expect questions in people development and environment. So if you just go through the previous year questions also, you can find questions that are coming from this area, both the perspectives. That is, one perspective is when we need to identify the different oxides of nitrogen, and also we have to be very much aware about the environmental outcomes or the environmental impacts that these pollutants can cause in the atmosphere or in the environment as such. So I hope now you got an idea about the oxides of nitrogen and also its environmental impacts. So this is how we learn things also. You just need to go through the previous year questions and find out the areas, the most important areas from which we get questions, and also we need to have an understanding or a perspective in which we need to expect questions as well. So what is the perspective in which we need to identify or understand that topic as well. So this is how you learn new things. This is how you are equipping yourself for your next attempt also. So this is how we teach in Appleby. So we have both offline and online courses available. So in order to know the more details of our courses, you can just contact the number that is given below. So that's it for this session. Thank you and happy learning.